Beautiful people. Yes, it is 8:13 in the AM. We are about to get started with the virtual book club. And I just want to forewarn you guys, I probably will have to end this pretty early because I have my little one to get on the bus. So that's just my forewarning ahead of time. I look forward to this day with you guys. I hope you guys are having a blessed day. It is not the type of weather outside I like seeing, but I'm just going to take this moment to share this video and we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. Do we have any birthdays? Only because people are telling me after the fact that it's their birthday. And I'm like, oh, why didn't you tell us on the virtual book club? Because I like to make a big thing out of birthdays. So when you see Marva Muhammad come on, make sure you wish Marva Muhammad a big birthday. She just had a birthday and she didn't tell us. She told me in private. So we want to make sure that we wish our book clubbers happy birthdays, congratulations, and everything else that we do to support one another. Good morning, Lissa. How are you? Peace, sister. Yes, peace. Good morning, Gwendolyn. How are you? Everyone is coming on. I'm going to get started a little bit early today so that I can make sure I'm done in enough time to get my son. So today we're talking about wealth. We're still talking about wealth. Yesterday we ended talking about the COST acronym, where C stands for contribution. O stands for, what is O? I'm terrible. I should know this. O stands for ownership. Duh. Like, come on, how many things I own? So C stands for contribution. O stands for ownership. S stands for save and invest. And T stands for target. So we can target our dollars toward Black communities. And we're still going on with that. Good morning, Shonna. I'm glad to see you. I haven't seen you in so long. Good morning, Justin. Peace and great risings to you too, King. So let's go on. We're still talking about the wealth situation. So he starts by saying the Black community is consistently bombarded by economic disasters and often finds itself at the receiving end of untold amounts of financial torture. Black men are virtually eliminated from the economic system and relegated to the undignified position of begging for money or begging for jobs and hoping that some white man will give him a tiny opportunity. For those of you guys who don't know, we are reading Dr. Boyce Watkins' book, It Takes the Village to Raise the Bar, A New Paradigm for Black America. It is a free ebook that he has. If you need to get a copy of the book, which I suggest you do, kindly click the link in the description portion of this video and enter your information so you can get a free copy of the book sent to you, because I'm only reading certain parts of each chapter. I am not going word for word. So it's very much important for you to have a copy of it so you can follow along with me. So he says, this has to stop. So it has to stop that we continuously put ourselves in positions to beg white people for jobs. So he's saying this has to stop. We've got to learn how to create our own jobs and make our own money. I'm tired of begging other people to get what we need. I'm sick of Black men having to do minstrel dance and keep their heads low in order to get corporate opportunities. I'm tired of us waiting on another group of people to validate us and give us their stamp of approval before we are allowed to believe that we are worthy. I see that so often. If it's white, it's right. So many people go after white people's approval. Oh, if only if I can get them to sponsor me. If only I can get them to donate into my business. If only I can get them to give me a job. If only I can get the white person to recognize me, then I'll be successful. And we even see this type of narrative played out in movies, on TVs. Every time there's someone successful, there's a white person behind the operation. So we have to get ourselves to the position where we're not dependent on white people to validate us or to give us our success, because we really have everything we need to be successful. Yeah, we can take dollars from anybody. White dollars, Asian dollars, black dollars, white dollars. All those dollars are matters when it comes to pouring into our community and pouring into our business. But to rely on them for our livelihood, for validation, that is something that Dr. Boyce Watkins is saying he's sick of it and it needs to stop. Entrepreneurship is typically not something that you're taught in school. It is something that good parents build on the souls of their children. In a way, you can compare it to being able to grow your own economic food instead of depending on someone else to feed you. It gives you freedom in the event of disaster, or in the case that you decide that you simply want something better out of life than enduring the streets of doing work that you actually hate. So he's saying entrepreneurship is not going to be taught to you in school. So if you're looking for an education to teach you about entrepreneurship, that's never going to happen because the school system is not designed that way. The school system is designed to raise you to be a good employee. So they're banking on educating you the way they want you to be educated so that you can go and work for these major corporations, so you can go and work for the government, so you can go and work for white people. That's what it's built on. It's not built with us in mind, meaning, oh, let's just help them so that they can, raise their own children to own businesses and pass it down to their children and educate their children. No. That is not how the school system is built. So if you're looking for the school system to teach you about entrepreneurship, it's never going to happen. It's going to happen through people like Dr. Boyce Watkins. It's going to happen through people like Evan Jefferson. It's going to happen through people like me. These are the people that's going to teach you about building your business. But you have to be willing to invest in yourself and stop looking at it as, I'm not going to give them money so they can make themselves rich. That's not what this is about. You won't give a black person money to teach you how to build business, but you would go spend thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in white people businesses, hoping that they're going to teach you how to make $1 million. I see this in my personal life, not meaning I do it, but I'm saying in my personal circle, because I don't give white people thousands of dollars to teach me how to run a business. Oh, no, I don't. But I see it all the time. People will go out their way and spend 20, 30, 40, 50, and thousands of dollars to be coached by someone white because they believe in their sick mind that that person is going to bring them to the next level. But when you have a black person that does the same thing, they don't pour into them. They don't build a relationship with them. They look for ways to criticize them. Oh, I knew that was a scam. Oh, I knew they were just taking our money. Blah, 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 blah. It's sad. It's sad. It is so sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of it. I know Dr. Boyce Watkins is sick and tired of it. I know other people I associate with is sick and tired of it. It's a mentality of our people that is so hard to change. And I'm not understanding why. Why? But then when I really think critically, the school system is designed that way. Is working against many of us that are trying to lift black people up so that they can be prosperous on their own without depending on a white system to feed them. I know that we're up against a bigger animal here. The machine is way bigger than I ever imagined, right? And it's been this way for a long time. This machine works on its own, is well oiled. It works on its own and has been working this way for over 400 years. Finally, you never want your children to believe that the only way to become somebody in this world is to bend and fold to the whims of people who may never respect you. Teach them to have values and integrity. Help them decide where they would like to take a stand. If you don't help them to build their ethical center, they will constantly morph themselves into little robots who simply follow the value system of those who have the most money. Teach your children the cost model: contribution, ownership, save and invest, and target your dollars. Teach them the cost model when they are very young, and then put them into programs that will allow them to learn how to make their own money. Teaching your children how to make money isn't enough. They can hoard all the money in the world, but it means almost nothing if you raise them to be selfish. Instead, raise your children to know that wealth building is important for their individual success as well as the success of those they care about. After they accumulated some economic opportunities, it is then important to multiply those opportunities by investing in Black businesses, hiring Black employees, and giving to Black organizations. By sharing, teaching, building, and lifting, you are able to take individual wealth and convert that into collective wealth. In return, These opportunities will help your child to gain wealthy Black allies since people tend to support those who supported them in the past. It's so important that he said this because what I tend to see is, once again, we don't train teach our children to own their own. And I share with you guys many times. There's a video that has so many people have shared the video. Some of them have 8 million views, 2 million views, 800,000 views. I shared with you guys a long time ago that I had taught my son when he was 11 years old about the stock market, and he actually invested in it. And even though he's playing around with a little bit of money in the stock market, it's like $500, he's up by $70. Well, last time we checked, which was like the day before yesterday, he was up by $70. So he hasn't lost the money. It's really not hard to do this. And the other day, my daughter, many of you guys know, and if not, I'm going to tell you now, my daughter owns her own business with two or three other of her business partners. There's four of them in business, and they mentor other children. They all go to Ivy League universities, my child and her friends, and they mentor other children to get them Ivy League ready so that they can be prepared to conquer in this world. And they have a lot of children in there who are Hispanic, Black, Asian, whatever the case is. So my son goes to her program. After he finished his high school program, I put him in her program. And she said they did a presentation, and most of the children had no idea about business. They were fumbling over their words. They couldn't sell a product. They couldn't communicate with others and convince them the reason why others want to do business with them. They didn't have the skills. And she said, so it was my son's turn. His name is Jace. It was Jace's turn to stand up there and do his presentation. And what he was assigned to sell was a Nook. You know, the Barnes and Noble reading tablet, as opposed to an iPad. He had to sell a Nook. And he got up there and she said he murdered it. She said she was turning around like, because she was so excited that that was her brother. And she said he was just rocking it. But do you know why? Because every day we talk about business in this household. My husband owns his own businesses. I own my own businesses. And I say businesses meaning plural. We teach our children about business all the time. We're talking to them all the time. My children, both my oldest son and my only daughter and my oldest son, have both worked for me at different times in their lives and in the life of my business. They have worked for me. And so they're being bred about business because that's what we know, meaning America knows you must do. You have to train your children to own, to dominate, to conquer. You have to train your children to do that. Because if you don't, you're just giving them into the hands of the system that oppresses them and expecting them to employ them, expecting them to clothe them, expecting them to feed them. Don't think because you get a paycheck, you're really clothing yourself, because at any time that employer can take that paycheck from you. And then what are you going to do? I'm not saying it's wrong to be an employee. I am not saying that whatsoever. What I'm saying that we must have the entrepreneurial skills that if somebody does take the paycheck from us, we can still survive on our own. We're not dependent on unemployment, or we're not dependent on people to lend us money, or we're not crying because we have no money, we can't pay our bills. If we allow the school system to continuously educate our children in this manner, they're not going to be prepared. I'm glad my son went up there and murdered it, meaning he knocked it out the box. He convinced people to buy a Nook for $50 as opposed to an iPad for $600. He explained why your mind is programming, why you'll go for the iPad as opposed to using something that's affordable and cheap to do the same damn thing. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to train our children to think critically, and we have to let them know that you can conquer anything. You can own anything. And don't have anybody make you feel bad for wanting to support Black businesses. I get that all the time. I get a lot of trolls all the time saying that I'm wrong for teaching people this, blah, blah, blah. But what do you think the Rothschilds did? What do you think Rockefeller did? What do you think all these big major corporations did? Corporations that funded slavery and got to where they are, AT&T, Aetna, Mutual of Omaha, all these big companies. What do you think that they did to get to where they're at? Do you think they didn't train their children and their children's children to take over? That would be foolish thinking. That's what they did. Do you think they don't purposely hire white at upper management and leading positions? You don't think that's done on purpose? But the minute we say hire black is a problem. The minute we say support black is a problem. The minute we say employ black is a problem. We have to change our mindset, and we have to stop allowing other people to make us feel bad about loving the skin we're in. Let me move on, because y'all know y'all getting me preaching over here. Let's talk about our sons. Black males have the highest unemployment rate in America. If black men cannot provide for their families, they typically do not get married. It's the truth, ladies. It's the truth. A man wants to be solid before he takes on a wife. The economic pressure is overwhelming for many of these brothers, in large part because so many of them have been marginalized by the criminal justice system. For some men, if they can't provide for themselves, they may even end up wanting to go back to prison. At the very least, some may not feel that they belong anyplace else. A black man in prison has an almost impossible time being an active and involved husband and father. It is difficult to run a household when you are either incarcerated or trying to stay one step ahead of the cops. It is also difficult to take care of other people if you can't find a job, can't pay your bills, and have no education or opportunity. So economic stability is deeply connected to family stability. In order for the black community to rise, we must help the black man to get back on his feet and stay there. The economy has shifted for all Americans, not just black, all Americans. The days of working for one corporation for 20 years and getting a guaranteed retirement plan are gone. Now, companies will fire you in a second. For your own economic security, even if you work for somebody else, you should have your own business on the side. If you don't have your own business, then join some sort of economic cooperative, which will allow you to invest in someone else's business. So let me speak to the black man for a second, and then I'll touch on that and we're ending. I'm going to speak to the black man for a second. Some of you guys watching this podcast have never ever been incarcerated, and I'm so happy for you. But don't think that they're not watching you for one moment, okay? But nonetheless, the only thing it takes is for you to get fingerprinted and mugshot. That's all it really takes for you to become a target. That's all it takes. And this system is designed in such a way. I'm not going to stay there because I can stay on incarceration I can go deep because I've done a lot of research from my master's program into my doctoral program. I've done a lot of research on incarceration. But let me tell you something. It only takes for you to run through the system once and they got you. They got you. They will make your life hell. And a lot of times what they do is they pigeonhole you into accepting plea bargains and deals that are designed to hurt you in the future to come. And we don't think, not all of us, some of us do not think progressively, meaning if I take this plea, how is it going to impact me in the future? Where is it going to go? And I know that people are afraid. They're afraid, and especially when you don't have money to hire an attorney and you're relegated to a public defender who has 50 cases, you're not in that person's best interest. So I understand why people take these plea bargains. But I want to say this. Once you are in the system, it can stop you from getting jobs. It can stop you from getting housing. It can stop you from building. It can stop you from being in your family's presence, especially if your woman or the mother of your children is on welfare or gets Section 8. You can't go into that home. And if you go into that home, you run the risk of putting your family out on the streets because they will take that person's voucher in their apartment. So they set it up in such a strategic way that the only thing it takes is for your fingerprints and your mugshot to run through the system and you take a plea bargain and then you set yourself up for failure for life. It doesn't mean that it's end of the world. What I'm saying to you is if that happens, you got to know how to make money on your own the legal way, not the ski mask way. Y'all know I like rap. Let me stop. But y'all got to know how to make money on your own. So we cannot get ourselves under this illusion that, oh, it's not going to happen to me. I'm an educated black man. Listen, it can happen to anybody. Who's that famous black guy? He has that PBS show. And he has the ancestry DNA black ancestry. What's his name? Oh my God. Somebody tell me his name. Is on the tip of my tongue. Lewis, whatever his name is. Remember when he moved into, he's a Harvard professor or something like that. When he moved into a white neighborhood, bought a house, and he didn't have his ID with the new address on it, and they arrested him out of his own house because a neighbor saw him one day trying to get into his house and called the cops, and it's suspecting him to be a robber. And he's a Harvard PhD level professor. Louis Gates, right? Louis Gates Jr., something like that. That's his name, something like that. Gates. Yes, somebody's saying Gates. They arrested him. So you cannot go around thinking, if I'm educated, I have a job, I'm respected, I'm prominent, I will not get arrested. That is a bold-faced lie from the pit of hell. So you have to be very careful about this. The prison system is not designed to promote you. It's designed to make money from you. It's designed to make money. There's a lot of private funding prisons, and their goal is to fill it. And it is filled by black men and black women. And if you don't believe me, you can simply do your research on the incarceration rates. It's black, baby. So this system is well oiled, and it is working against you. So you have to be very cautious and alert of how this whole thing is working, because if you're not, you're going to get caught out there. So here's our last portion. A cooperative investing situation might mean joining with other like-minded people, pooling your resources, and investing in a venture at the same time. Even if you're getting a paycheck, there is no reason that a consistent fraction of that paycheck can't go toward building your path off the economic plantation. Even if you don't want to be a full-time entrepreneur, you still have the opportunity to own something that belongs to you. Find a black business and invest in it. Being an owner, even a minority silent partner, gives you a secondary source of income outside of your job. This is another place where wealth is being created in America, and you want to be a part of it. Black economic cooperatives are so important, so very important. And I don't see those enough. We don't see them enough. We need more of that. We need to learn how to pour into other black businesses. We need to know how to partner up with other people so that can happen. We have to learn to start trusting each other, because we don't trust each other. We have to learn how to start trusting each other. Get an attorney. There's so many black attorneys amongst us. I know a few of them in my own personal circle where I have their cell phone numbers. I went to universities with them. I am friends with them. Our children know each other. They go to my church. I know so many black attorneys. And at any time, the only thing you have to do is pick up the phone in your network and ask somebody to draw up some business papers. You guys come to an agreement and you get it made. You sign it so it's a legal contractual document. We have to start doing things professionally. We have to start doing things smart. But most importantly, we have to start investing in each other. We have to start investing in each other. If you want wealth, the whole idea of building wealth is getting together, pooling your resources together and buying and building, buying and building. That's what you have to do. There's so much resources around us. There are teachers in our communities. Why can't we pull together and start our own schools? You don't need to have to be in the school system to educate our children. You know, if you're in the school system, you're going to be held at the whims of how you are to educate the children. We have teachers amongst us. We have principals amongst us. We have administrators amongst us. We have HR people amongst us. We have attorneys amongst us. We have doctors. There is no reason for us not to build our own village. There is no reason for that. On a large scale, yes, there are little pockets of this happening, but there is no reason that we can't do this on a grand scheme of things. We can take over. There's no reason. The only reason why it's not doing it because we have been bred. We have been conditioned not to trust each other. We have been conditioned to live in fear, saying, I don't know if we can make it on our own, so I got to keep working. That is fear talking. We have so many great minds against us. If Marcus Garvey can do it, we can do it. If Malcolm X can do it, we can do it. If Dr. King can do it, we can do it. There's countless people. I can go get my Black Power book for y'all. A book laden with nothing but research, 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 with a lot of people who have done it. The Divine Nine out of Harlem, they took the school to the task. Do y'all know about the Divine Nine out of Harlem? Let me tell you something. If they can all do it, we can do it. We can do it. We can build. We have to start trusting each other. We have to start loving each other. And most importantly, we have to stop letting people define who we are. We have to stop accepting money from people who our interest is not their best interest. And so they allow stereotypes to keep going about us. They allow nasty narratives to be developed about us, and people believe it. People buy into the stuff, and we buy into it when we support it. Those are the businesses we have to stop supporting. Those are the businesses we have to stop taking money from, because it is harming us, people, and it's conditioning us. It is planted in our subconscious and ruling us. So we have to move away from this. So that's all I have for you guys today. I love you guys so much. So Sakia is saying even a lot of fair trade companies subsidize their products with prison labels. Of course. Of course, prison labor. See, y'all already know about the 14th Amendment. And thank God that documentary came out for people who don't have Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, right? Because, I got that book right over there. That's my book. But it's designed that way, Sakia. It's designed to put our men in prison, because that's free labor. And it's written that way. As long as you are incarcerated, you don't have to get paid a wage or a real wage. You don't have to. You become, in essence, a slave. And this corporation is still built off the backs of slavery. It's just hidden. It's just designed differently. It just took on another form, so we think it no longer exists. Baby, we are still in slavery. That's the bottom line. Whether you like it or not, people don't like to hear it, but that's just what the case is. Justin is saying most people that's well off don't even live in black communities around other black people, are send their kids to be educated around other black kids. You're absolutely right, Justin. So what are you saying, Justin? What exactly are you saying? But you're absolutely right. I agree with you. But what are you saying? See, we have to be one. We have to collectively be one. We can't be looking at the things that other people's not doing. We have to collectively be one so that we can clean up the community. Because right now, the people in the hood, Justin, don't even want to be in the hood. A lot of them want to move out the hood because they want their children to survive. They don't want bullets in their children's back. People in the hood ain't even cleaning up their hood. Not all the people. So I know a lot of people. I have personal people. There's somebody that I'm friends with, Hanif Muhammad. He is always in the hood. He's part of the Nation of Islam. I'm telling you, the Nation of Islam be holding it down. He is always in the hood, talking to young brothers, young sisters, getting them out, cleaning up. But guess what? Guess what? If the mamas are not supporting that, if the fathers are not supporting that, how do you suppose him to be successful at doing what he's doing? It cannot just be Hanif. It has to be all of us. It has to be all of us every waking day, not just on social media. We got to be out there. We got to be talking to people. We have to purposely bring our children to black daycares if they're underage, or black schools. But how many of them do we have? Let's just be real. We got to be real. When we make these comments, we have to really be real and come up with the solution and not just keep identifying problems. Because we're good at identifying problems, but we're not good at coming up with solutions and following them through. You know why? Because it's tiring. And it takes a lot of work, but we have to push through and continuously do it. We have to continuously do it. All right. So Kenneth says, shameful. Michael Jordan is heavily invested in that industry. Yeah. And countless others of Kenneth, more than just Michael Jordan. Some of us are. Right. So I love you guys. I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:15 in the AM with the Virtual Book Club. Be blessed.